For decades, the American automotive landscape has been shaped by a diverse array of vehicles, each with its own unique story and appeal. German cars like Mercedes-Benz and BMW have become synonymous with luxury and performance on American roads. These brands have carved out a significant niche, appealing to drivers who seek a blend of comfort, style, and driving dynamics. Volkswagen and Audi have been icons on American roads. From the iconic Beetle to the sleek Audi sedans, these vehicles have offered a range of options for American consumers, each with its own distinct character and appeal. They stood for engineering excellence, luxury, and aspiration, more than just transportation. They represented a certain level of quality and sophistication that many Americans aspired to achieve. Americans admired their precision and the unique blend of performance and technology. This combination set them apart from many domestic offerings, attracting a loyal following of enthusiasts and discerning drivers. This admiration translated into strong, consistent demand, making the U.S. a vital market for German automakers. The American consumer's appetite for German engineering and design fueled the growth of these brands in the United States. Generations grew up seeing these cars in movies and driveways, associating them with achievement and sophistication. They became symbols of status and success, often featured in advertising and popular culture as aspirational objects. Whether it was the reliable Beetle or a sporty BMW, German cars became a fixture in American life. Their popularity led to extensive dealership networks, service centers, and even US-based manufacturing plants. This integration created jobs and economic ties, weaving German brands into the fabric of American automotive culture. For many, owning a German car was part of the American dream, a symbol of success and refined taste. Automakers cultivated this image through marketing and consistent quality, building a loyal customer base. The trust and pleasure these cars delivered made the relationship strong, until trade policy changes threatened to upend it. The stability of this bond would soon be tested by a dramatic shift in U.S. trade policy. These policy shifts introduced uncertainty and potential challenges to the long-standing relationship between German automakers and the American market. In late 2024, as the global economy continued to evolve, President Trump shook the auto industry with a move that would reverberate across continents. He imposed a significant 25% tariff on all car imports originating from Europe. This bold move was primarily targeted at German automakers, the giants of the European automotive world. These companies had grown to rely heavily on the U.S. market for a substantial portion of their sales and revenue. The tariffs were implemented with the stated aim of protecting American carmakers, securing jobs, and boosting domestic production. By making imported vehicles more expensive, the administration sought to encourage consumers to prioritize buying American-made cars. The administration's argument centered on the belief that foreign competition, often facilitated by what they considered unfair trade practices, had inflicted significant damage on U.S. companies and their ability to compete. The ultimate hope was to force foreign automakers to increase their investment in the U.S. by building more cars domestically, thereby creating more local jobs for American workers. The policy also aimed to address the persistent trade imbalance, highlighting the fact that Europe taxed U.S. cars at a rate of 10%, while the U.S. imposed a significantly lower tax of just 2.5% on European cars. The newly implemented tariffs were intended to level the playing field and exert pressure on Europe to reconsider and lower its own trade barriers. The announcement sent shockwaves through boardrooms across the automotive industry and sent ripples through financial markets, immediately sparking intense debate among economists and creating widespread uncertainty about the future. European leaders and various industry groups quickly issued warnings about the potential for negative consequences, including the possibility of retaliatory measures being taken by the European Union. The U.S. auto market, which had long been shaped by principles of open trade and international collaboration, now faced what appeared to be a fundamental shift in its operational landscape. Automakers on both sides of the Atlantic scrambled to adapt to the new reality, and the stage was set for a prolonged period of heightened trade tension and diplomatic maneuvering. The automotive sector was now, more than ever, at the center of a new era, fraught with both challenges and opportunities in transatlantic economic relations, with the future uncertain. The 25% tariff instantly made German cars thousands of dollars more expensive for American buyers. A $40,000 car now cost $50,000 before dealer markups, pricing many out of the market. Demand dropped as buyers turned to domestic brands, used cars, or delayed purchases. The dream of owning a new Mercedes, BMW, or Audi slipped out of reach for many. Dealerships felt the pain: fewer customers, declining sales, and tough conversations about price hikes. Even luxury buyers hesitated at the added cost, while mainstream models like Volkswagen lost their competitive edge. Inventory planning became a nightmare as uncertainty gripped the market. The result: a sharp contraction in new German car sales across the US. The tariffs, designed to shift consumer behavior, hit both buyers and sellers hard. The once thriving market for German imports faced a sudden and dramatic slowdown. With sales plummeting and costs soaring, German automakers had to act fast. Companies like Mercedes, Volkswagen, and BMW announced major cutbacks in US operations. Some reduced or suspended production at US plants reliant on imported parts, while others scaled back investments. Financial forecasts were put on hold as the market became unpredictable. The focus shifted to localizing production, building more cars in the US to dodge tariffs. This required new investments at a time when resources were already stretched by the global shift to electric vehicles. The US market was too important to abandon, but the era of easy imports was over. Automakers now weighed the high cost of tariffs against the expense of building new American factories. Strategic decisions became more complex, balancing trade policy risks and shifting consumer demand. The German auto industry faced a new, uncertain reality in one of its most crucial markets. The tariffs' impact rippled far beyond the polished boardrooms of German automakers. It wasn't just about profits and losses for multinational corporations. The consequences cascaded down, hitting American workers directly, impacting their livelihoods and job security. And consumers felt the pinch hard, facing higher prices and fewer options when trying to purchase a vehicle. Dealerships, the backbone of local economies, faced layoffs as sales dwindled. Car salesmen saw their commission shrink as sales dropped, affecting thousands of U.S. jobs across the automotive retail sector. The ripple effect was undeniable. Import logistics, the complex network that brings vehicles to our shores, shipping companies, and the dedicated port workers who unload these vehicles, also felt the squeeze as trade volumes decreased. Fewer cars arrived, leading to reduced hours and potential job losses. Even US-based German plants, facilities that contribute significantly to the American economy, like BMW in South Carolina, a major employer in the region, faced higher costs for essential imported parts, impacting their bottom line and potentially hindering expansion plans. They also faced the looming threat of European retaliation, further complicating the trade landscape. Consumers saw higher prices on their favorite German models, and a more limited selection of vehicles to choose from at their local dealerships. This forced many to settle for alternatives, perhaps a different brand or a less desirable model. Others decided to delay buying a new car altogether, waiting for prices to stabilize. Even maintenance costs rose, adding to the financial burden. Replacement parts became pricier due to the tariffs, impacting repair bills. This affected millions of German car owners across the United States, who suddenly faced higher costs to keep their vehicles running. The pervasive uncertainty stifled investment in the automotive sector. Businesses hesitated to expand their operations or build new facilities, fearing further trade disruptions. Hiring freezes became commonplace amid trade war fears, limiting job opportunities for skilled workers. While the stated goal of these tariffs was to protect American industry and jobs, the reality painted a far more complex picture, revealing a web of pain and unintended consequences for workers, buyers, and the broader American economy, impacting businesses both large and small. The highly interconnected nature of the auto industry meant that disruptions in one area quickly spread to others, creating a domino effect throughout the supply chain. The trade-off, a short-term sense of protection for some segments of the American auto industry, resulted in widespread costs and challenges for many more, highlighting the intricate and often unpredictable consequences of trade policy. The tariffs sparked fierce debate among business and political leaders on both sides of the Atlantic. German executives, like Mercedes-Benz's CFO, announced plans to boost U.S. production to weather the storm. President Trump defended the tariffs as necessary for American jobs, while some local officials worried about economic fallout. EU leaders pushed for dialogue, but quick solutions proved elusive. BMW's CEO even urged Europe to lower its own tariffs on US cars, highlighting the tangled web of global auto trade. The industry found itself navigating uncertainty, with high stakes for economies on both continents. The German car tariff fight is a textbook case of trade war fallout. Tariffs trigger retaliation, disrupt global supply chains, and create economic uncertainty far beyond the targeted industry. Companies are forced to rethink where and how they build products, often at higher costs and lower efficiency. The uncertainty makes businesses hesitant to invest, slowing growth and innovation. The auto industry, with its massive upfront investments, is especially vulnerable to these shocks. While some domestic industries may see short-term gains, the broader economy often suffers from higher prices and lost export opportunities. German car makers, caught in the middle, risk losing ground no matter how tariffs shift. Trade wars undermine the cooperation and stability that global commerce relies on. The lesson protectionism can have far-reaching unintended consequences. German automakers are now retooling their U.S. strategies to survive the new trade reality, the main move ramping up local production to sidestep tariffs. Mercedes-Benz is expanding its Alabama plant, while Audi plans a new North American facility. BMW's South Carolina plant, already a major exporter, faces its own challenges with shifting trade rules. Building or expanding U.S. factories requires huge investment, at a time when automakers are also pouring money into electric and autonomous vehicles. Reworking global supply chains is complex and costly, but increasingly necessary. These changes are driven by policy, not just market demand, adding financial pressure. German brands are betting big on American soil to stay competitive in a turbulent market. The future of German cars in America is now at a crossroads. Even if tariffs are rolled back, the shift toward U.S. production may be here to stay. Automakers making long-term investments in American factories are unlikely to reverse course quickly. The need to hedge against trade risks could permanently reshape global manufacturing. Meanwhile, German brands face new competition from fast-rising Chinese automakers, especially in electric vehicles. Resources spent on trade battles are resources not spent on innovation. The road ahead is uncertain, with German engineering still valued, but the way these cars reach American drivers is changing fast.